Approve, say aye.
Call the August 14th, 2018 meeting of the Old Town Planning Board to order. Next item on the agenda is to approve the minutes, which we don't have,
I apologize for that.
so we can't do that. We disapprove.
Disapprove the non-existing.
Okay, there we
We'll have 2 months next month.
Okay, there we go. Item 3 is a site plan application for Trade Winds for a 4,560 square foot convenience store with gasoline sales at 665 Stillwater Avenue, tax map 18, lot 17, case number 1532. You want to
Yep, they can sit right there. Sorry I put those out ahead of time.
introduce yourself and
We'll sign them right here. No, it's just,
let us know what you're doing.
I'm Randy Bragg from Carpenter Associates, and I'm taking care of Chuck Lawrence this evening. He's the owner of South Street Development, also Trade Winds. We are here requesting approval of an application for the construction of a C-store that will also sell gasoline. It's going to be located at 665 Stillwater Avenue, just a couple doors up from me. Formerly known as Gary Sullivan's Auto Repair or Auto Service. So we plan to demolish that building and replace it with a store that's 60 by 76 or 45, 60 square feet. About 1,100 square feet of that is a freezer and cooler space. So the floor area is around 3,400 or so. As I said, there's going to be 2 fuel pumps or 4 fueling stations. The entire site currently is nearly impervious area. We're not changing any of that. I think we're actually going to reduce it in the end game by adding a little bit of grass to the back and adding a couple of trees for an added buffer to the development to the rear. And along the front, we're going to be able to have a couple of pieces of grass as well. Chuck has also negotiated to trade some land with Tony Sullivan. He's going to purchase 10 feet, and you'll see on the plan that he's exchanged that 10 feet for about 5 times that quantity for Tony. So I think it benefits both Tony and it will help give adequate access around the store for Chuck's purposes. It'll also reserve a space to the rear for him to locate snow removal. It is a fairly flat site, and I think most of you know that a lot of those sites are pretty wet when it rains. Most of the water is directed right towards Stillwater and runs down the gutter. So one of the things we've proposed to install a couple of catch basins very near the right-of-way to collect that water before it gets out into Stillwater. It'll help things freezing up in the wintertime and keep the water out of that gutter line. And we'll just direct that to an already catch basin off from Stillwater behind the curb near Tony Sullivan. We've discussed that with Tony as well. He is well aware of what's going on there. We plan to locate all of the utilities we need across there, water, sewer, gas, and electric, to install that. The utilities, we're reusing the existing utilities to the existing facility. There's a 2-inch service there already with a gate valve for water. We'll reconnect to that, and I think Chuck's store only needs about a 1-inch service for his purposes. We're also going to install, continue the sewer service from the existing one. So there will be no work in Stillwater at all.
All the work connecting the sewer will be off the highway?
Everything will be not pretty close to the right-of-way, but it will not affect the sidewalk
Any pavement.
or the curbing, except where we have to relay per DOT's request. There's a short section of pipe that they had installed, or maybe Tim did. No, I don't know. Whoever did that work. There's a small catch basin there, field basin, that runs to the curbside catch basin, and that's installed a little high for what we would like to have it. So we're just simply lowering the slope on that to get us a gravity feed with a certain amount of cover. It's a little shallow, so we've requested rigid insulation to bury that, to cover that, to make sure. Overhead power is nearby from the existing poles. We're proposing to possibly go up the property line and then jump over overhead, or simply underground right from there too. I don't know if we've decided that yet, but power's readily available for what we need. We've reserved a space in the back. You'll see the shaded space in the rear. That's typically reserved for condensers and other equipment for the freezers and coolers. It's also a space to be able to get out the back for loading and unloading of things as well. I think we included in the packet an idea of the floor plan as well.
Yes.
We do have a couple of site lights on the property, one to light up the entrance, one to load up the right-hand side, and two to the rear. We do have some foot candle levels, if you care to see those. I brought a couple extra with me today. I don't know if they made it into your packet to prove that they are dark sky compliant. They are cutoff lights. Any lighting that spills over the property line is less than a half a foot candle, and zero within 10 to 15 feet from that property line.
And those, are those dimmable?
They are going to be dimmable.
After hours,
They're controlled, so I think the game plan is to sell fuel 24/7, self-serve. At that point, typically the lighting is lowered, but certainly we will have some lights on the side of the building that will light the two alleyways, if you will, so there's no poles there, and a couple out back above the entrances. Those will all probably be wired with sensors in case folks are out back there doing stuff they're not supposed to be at night and that kind of stuff, so some security lighting, if you will. There'll also be, I assume, security cameras installed.
Yes.
Both at the pump and into the rear, to keep track of what's going on there as well. We felt it was pretty straightforward. Dave had, upon his review, had asked us to take a look at the traffic issue, just to make sure we were all set there. We felt pretty confident with the new construction of Stillwater and the continuous third lane that there should be no issue at all there, but we did do a little study. Chuck provided actual true counts from one of his local stores over Brewer, which probably has more volume than this one is expected to see, at the Valero there on Brewer. It has double the number of pumps that this one will have, but it's about the same size store, has about the same product that.
Is that on Outer Wilson Street?
Right on the corner of Parkway
Yep.
South and.
It's actually now a Sitco, but we refer to it as for like.
Oh, I'm
Of course
sorry.
It was for
Yeah,
5
right,
years,
you're
we
right.
just changed.
Okay, I'm sorry, yeah. So it's the Bluer Trade Winds right on the corner there. Used to be an old service station as well.
That was a difficult corner to get that in, and
Yep. So we took the actual true customer counts there and we equated that to traffic trips. Came up with a number comparable to the ITE manual, and then we subtracted out the already trips expected for the existing facility that was there. And it's certainly well under the 100 trips required for a traffic permit by DOT. We don't expect much of a negative impact there. I would in my little email to Dave, I estimated that a large percentage of those are going to be drive-by customers. They're not going to be destination customers. They're going to be people driving by. So they're not going out of their way to add traffic to Stillwater because they're going to the store. They're going to be all.
You think most of them are going to be coming from the east headed west? Is that your?
Well, I'm going to guess most of the traffic, if we were to really study it, will be coming up out of Old Town, heading out of town towards the interstate. But because that's on the side of the road they're on.
Yeah.
Now, as soon as the university sells the other side, Chuck will put another one on the other side and catch both sides. No, but I mean, that's just, we think it'll probably be a 60-40 split. We think most of the customers coming down into Old Town will be morning customers, obviously. But most of the other ones will be, throughout the day, will probably be on the other side of the road.
Well, there's a turning lane right there anyway.
right in the middle.
There's a third lane, so it makes it very easy. There's unlimited stacking. And when it stacks up to my office, I'll let you know.
I'm sure you're well aware that it two times of the day, Stillwater Avenue is pretty
It's pretty busy. Yep.
congested. I mean, it's nothing like Glen Burnie, Maryland, okay?
Right.
But for us, there's a lot of traffic there, so there is a concern. So you don't feel like we need to do anything?
Looking at the trips that Randy provided and Chuck provided, no, compare this to Dunkin' Donuts in the morning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah, a lot of Chuck stores have
It's
Dunkin' Donuts as well. that's a different story than this, because they have
Do you
very
plan
significant
to
morning
have
peak.
a Dunkin' Donuts kiosk there? I mean, you've got one just down the road.
there's
so-
not, there's not the room the way it's configured right now.
There's one in the Trade Winds in Milo, right incorporated in the store.
Yep.
I frequent that, so that works out, but you're not planning that here?
No, we're not.
And I, of course, I didn't study them, I'm sure
You
our
sell your
engineer
home-
would
home
tell us
donuts,
right off.
Right.
Is there a basement, a full basement in
No.
this? No, it's just
Slab
on
on
a
grade.
slab.
Frost wall slab on grade.
Okay.
You've looked at the traffic movement within the site, and you're comfortable with that? It seems like the gas pumps are, it's not much turning radius to get out of them.
Yeah, we've looked at that pretty close. It's obviously, we'd like to have a little bit of more room there. Originally, we were gonna do 3 pumps, and we backed off to 2. Original negotiations, included more land, but it didn't turn out that way. So,
So, in the pumps, will the vehicle stick out into the outbound lane when he's pumping in the last pump?
no, they should not.
So
The canopy is,
That's why we've hugged it to one side of the property.
so all the traffic, we hope will come into the right, park on the right, or park out back and come in.
And they're supposed to go around the store to exit. If they park in front of the store, they're supposed to go around the back of the store to exit.
They have room to back out though and turn around to the outside, go around. A vehicle does.
Going around the stores.
A truck would not, but we don't expect many big fields.
And is there a reason why you stuck with no additional curb cuts instead of having 2 curb cuts?
We just tried to not disturb Stillwater at all and use the existing curb cut that was there.
That'd be quite a pinch point, all the traffic turning in, swinging hard right, compared to trying to get traffic out, so.
What's the width of that curb cut?
It's about- Yeah, it's about 40 feet.
All signs show that we can make this work, but I can promise you that if it doesn't work, then we'll modify immediately. Because, I mean, safety is important, customer egress in and out.
I think it'll be a good thing, because I think you'll have too much
Right,
traffic for the
exactly,
site to.
exactly. If it does
handle.
better than we expect, then we'll react very quickly. I think you can look at my other sites. I've tried buying, Beezy's the only site that I would say I need more parking on, and that's a challenge. And I've tried buying land and very much, but that's a Dunkin' Donuts site too, that does generate a lot of extra traffic.
How
Right.
many pumps are in VZ?
Beezy has 2.
2.
Yeah, but it's
The-
all about the Dunkin' Donuts traffic,
Yeah,
as Dave
right.
said.
So 2 pumps that can service 4 cars at once?
Yep.
Right.
And I have done, I had 2 pumps at my Union Street site in Bangor, and I just added 2 more pumps to that because there was so much volume. But that's Union Street, and there's not a lot of competition over there either. But nothing says, not to be on the record, but nothing says that down the road, if Gary Sullivan next door is trying to sell his property, we're in constant negotiations. If that was to work, then we would restructure the lot and change entrances and do whatever, if we do as well, better than we think. But we definitely want to be a good community citizen, want to do everything we can do to make sure that we're safe and we're serving the customer the best we possibly can.
Oh, we're glad to see the development, so.
I frequent the Brewer store on my way home from here to Brewer Lake. And being on the corner of Parkway South,
That has some challenges.
but Parkway South is similar to this. You get the turn lane, you can get in there and come back out with no problems.
I've had a half dozen customers call me in the last year about coming to Old Town, because there's nothing downtown really, and they see all of what Milford's getting with R.H. Foster. And I've looked at Milford tremendously because of the gap between 95 and Milford. So Old Town's awesome. I ran Hannaford for 10 years. That's how I started with Hannaford. So I know what that Hannaford does too. So I think it's going to be a great area. I really do. And I hope I can create, the plan is to create 12 jobs, but, if our deli bakery, which has been a growing area for us, we're baking our own bread and we're doing all the things that people want, then hopefully we can hire 20 people.
Okay, all right, so,
Can I ask a question too on
Yeah.
Sure.
sheet C2? the property, what would be easterly of that, which would be the Tony Sullivan property, the
Yep.
curb cut there, they have hash lines there. Does that mean that entrance is closed, or is there gonna be a way that people aren't gonna be accessing through there into this, or is that a concern, or?
Or during construction.
Well.
It's all gonna be blocked off. That's
It's
one
gonna
of the
be
things
blocked off,
Tony
okay.
doesn't want the overflow from there.
Correct,
So
that's
you
what
can
I
see
was-
there's a pylon sign, and then we actually have
Yeah, I was
a
just
fence all the
wicked
way
small,
across.
so I didn't-
Okay, so
why.
that's what that is?
Yep,
And that's
so we've met with
lawn
both
area,
Sullivans,
the
and
short
we wanna
lawn
do what's
area.
right, you know.
Oh, yeah, yeah, right.
It might end up being crushed stone.
So the dotted is landscaped area, not paved, right? The dots.
The dots, that's grass.
The dots is grass.
You see the fence.
The X
Plan
dash
on
is the fence, the
fence.
proposed fence.
Mhm.
And
Okay, so
below
there'll be
that's
a
about a 3 or 4 foot
Fence
strip of
between the two
grass.
properties?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
That was per, basically Tony's request.
Okay.
Then to the other boundary side, although it's not shown on the plan, we have notes to basically put some stones along that property line.
So where will the access to his property, be?
Whose?
Tony's?
Right where it
It'll
shows.
remain the same.
Oh, I see, I see.
One of his major concerns was he didn't want anybody cutting through him onto
Well,
Chuck
that's
or
what I
vice
was
versa.
asking.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, Chuck's offered during construction that if it's disturbing his operation while they're cutting across his driveway, is that he'll have his done so they can get in and out of there during that
Okay.
few days that happens.
Yeah.
Because the hash marks, I think, is what's confused me. They're gonna disturb that when they run their new storm drain to
Right,
pick
so
up
we're-
that existing catch basin on
So
Tony's lawn.
we're telling the contractor there, we're expecting you to cut that and repave that to what's already there. But we're being careful not to disturb the curbing or the sidewalk,
Okay.
except where that short portion where we have to relay that
Right.
10 or 15-foot section
Okay.
to the east, I guess.
Okay. Anyone else on the board have any other questions about this site? We have to go through the findings of fact and all that. We can further discuss this. It's your pleasure. Do we want to see if anyone else has any questions?
Got any comments?
I'm good.
Nope.
You just want to see what's going on?
Oh, it's Mr.
He's
Sullivan,
invested
that's
in-
one of the.
Oh,
the
sorry,
Sullivans.
okay, sorry, I didn't know.
Did I say anything
I
bad?
think it's great. I think, let's see what happened to use it.
So I take it you're in favor?
Yeah,
Okay, yeah, we're good. Okay, we're good.
you got my approval.
All right, well, sorry, I'm just trying to make sure everybody is accommodated here, and I
And
didn't
he
know.
will be coming to us next month for his project out at the airport.
I
so.
see, okay, well.
Seeing how the process works.
Yeah, you
Dave said
see
he
how
had it,
friendly
but
we
we
are?
didn't get it
We're,
on
you
tonight.
know, we're really business friendly. So, with that in mind, then I think, unless there's any specific questions, we'll run down through without objection the entire findings of fact, vote on that, and then the site plan approval. So, some of this has already been discussed, bear with us, but the findings of fact as prepared for this application include the utilization of the site, and we already talked about it's primarily impervious. You're going to be reducing the impervious area with planters and islands with grass in it, I take it?
Yep.
Okay, so, the biggest concern, it seems, is traffic access and parking. And I appreciate your willingness to adjust this if necessary. On paper, it's always hard to see whether, I mean, how that's gonna work in practice, but at least you do have an overflow to go around the back. You know, is that gonna be painted and signed so that
Yep.
you can go out there, you know, customers will know that they could do that as an option?
There'll be arrows marked on the
Yeah.
ground there.
so
This
they
is
can-
similar to the
This site has-
Ledbetters
this site
on
has about
Stillwater
twice as
Avenue,
much
where you
parking
can go
as
out
VZ
around the
too.
back of the building, but there's always been enough room to back out,
It
depending
seems-
on the
it-
amount of.
I mean, again, it's hard to visualize, but I share
Customers.
Tim's concern about, you know, people coming in off of the Stillwater and somebody either driving out or backing out. But it
Yeah.
looks like there's enough room.
Well, a
How
lot
are
of,
you plan for that?
the general rule of thumb for the distance for the canopy to the curb, including the parking, is about 50 feet, and that's about what we have here. So
Okay.
that gives us, an 18-foot parking space and about 20-plus feet to back out of there and
Back
get
out.
through. The canopy width, to give you some kind of perspective, is 24 feet deep. So if the person filling up is centered under there, there should be space to back out
Right.
easily.
Okay.
Typical parking lot only has 24 feet clear to back out when they perpendicularly park up against each other, so. Yeah, people will have to pay attention, but we think there's room to get in and out of there.
Okay.
The entrance, how many, are you gonna have delineated exit and left turn, right turn, and one entrance, or are you gonna?
We, probably will do nothing unless, you would like us to see a left and a right turn lane. There's plenty of space to do that.
We could do it with paint, just paint.
Well, it would be a
Just
paint
striping,
marking thing,
yeah.
it'd be a fairly easy thing to do, and if that's a suggestion, that's an easy thing.
Yeah, we do that in a lot of our sites, like we do that in Ellsworth where there is a center lane. You know, we do the same thing,
The biggest problem traffic-wise, obviously, is gonna be that left turn out of there.
right?
Heading back towards Old Town.
Certain times of day that if someone got in, took up more space than they actually needed, you're gonna hold a lot of people back that need to get out of this site. So
I would certainly,
You've got enough
We can easily,
curb cut there to,
we can easily mark that, we can put a
Yeah.
left and a right on the way out.
I think it would be helpful. I
Yep.
mean, you know, not everybody's gonna
Ellsworth
follow it.
flows very, very well, even in the heat of the summer.
Right.
You have
So
three lanes going
Yeah, we have
out.
the suicide, I call it suicide lane, but it's that center lane.
So you would agree to mark left turn, right
Yep.
turn lanes
Yep.
No problem.
on that curb cut?
Yep, absolutely.
I don't think we need to modify the plan for that, Dave, do you?
I'll make it part of these.
Okay. Yeah, just a minor thing, and, you know, some people never
Right.
follow those anyway, but hopefully that would
Well,
help.
I mean, the fact is, if, people can't get in and out of there, that's bad for business.
Right.
Oh, yeah, you're gonna do something, yeah.
He'll do something before that.
I got you. We're sure that you will, so.
We have no problem coming back and saying, yeah, you told us.
Pedestrian circulation, basically, you're not gonna affect the sidewalk that's there at all.
No.
The curb cuts will remain the same.
Yeah.
They'll be sloped, as they are now.
Yep.
So not changing that. Stormwater management, we've talked about that, your addition of 2 new catch basins and all gravity feed, so there's no issues with that. You said you had to reset one of them.
Yeah.
Lower?
If you look over in front of Tony Sullivan's property, there's a catch basin that is existing. The one on Stillwater, collects the water runoff from there. It runs down, between those two properties and collects there. That section is, a little too shallow, very shallow. So, we checked with the DOT engineers to make sure we had the proper, inverts. These inverts are directly from them, and we verified them, so, we've adjusted, the slope on that 12-inch pipe to 0.5%. We think that's plenty to take care of.
Erosion control, you've noted that there'll be very little disturbance, so that's not a concern. It's fairly flat there anyway. No waterways nearby. Water supply provisions, city water and city sewer. Any connection to the sewer line is going to be outside of the traveled way of Stillwater.
Correct. We
Okay.
plan to connect, right where, the current service is. And
And
you'll notice we put a manhole right there to try to help in case it's, the deflection's off there. We just don't want any issues with that, putting the 45 in immediately and.
Now, you're obviously gonna put the tanks in, but are they gonna be right where the island is, or the gas tanks?
About where you see, that number 8 in that note says catch basin ram 141.5, that's about where I think they have the preliminary layout for the buried tanks. In that lower right-hand corner, if you will.
Yeah.
Very near to where the previous ones were.
you typically go with internal grease traps, right?
Yes, we do, yep, yep.
Okay, utilities are going to be existing, no major changes there. Obviously, any overhead wires will be up high enough so that they won't impede traffic. Natural features and landscaping, you've mentioned you're gonna minimize disturbance of what's there now, which there isn't much. And you're gonna add grass and to any unpaved areas and sites with tree plantings along the rear. Water quality protection, there shouldn't be any impact. Obviously, the tanks will be installed according to standards and all of that. Hazardous special and radioactive materials, just checking, not anticipating any. Okay, other than the Slurpees, sometimes those can get, yeah, all right.
Well, this being an old site of a gas station, has the soil been checked or?
Gary provided us with the DEP sign off on the removal of those tanks about 12 years ago-ish.
Any soils that were found to be bad are the responsibility of DEP. So that's been verified by my gas installer.
And
Okay.
that's been checked, or is that gonna be checked while you're doing the
Yes.
construction?
Yeah, they'll be over to check it.
Yeah. I mean, it was clean, when the tanks were pulled before, it was given a clean bill of health, which basically means it's a totally new site. But again, DEP has signed off on that, so therefore anything that would be, if something did show up, then it would be that way.
But when they removed the tanks in the past, they hadn't leaked
Yep.
or, so there
Nope.
was a clean.
No, it was totally
Okay.
a clean bill of health.
There's no shoreline zone within this area, so that's not an issue. The capacity of the applicant has demonstrated that they are have the financial and technical capacity to carry out the project. We've got a letter from the First National Bank showing adequate financial capacity. Solid waste disposal and management. Okay, that you're gonna take care of any of the demolition, obviously, and you're gonna have dumpsters. Where are they gonna be on the plan? The
We
dumpsters?
propose the daily dumpster to be to the rear. We've shown it there at the rear, so this gives the trash company the ability to pull straight in, pick up the dumpster, back out, and go around the building.
Okay, so it's gonna be screened from public view just by
Yes.
the
Yep.
facility itself?
Yep.
Yeah.
So you're gonna leave it open?
Well, fence on 3 sides.
I don't think we proposed a fence on 3 sides, but if
you
somebody
need-
wants one, we'll put it in.
Yeah.
It's very similar to mine, it's way in the back.
The ordinance calls for them to be screened.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
don't
that's
go
not a
by-
problem.
Don't go by my place.
Not a problem, not a problem.
Okay, that's a minor thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, there's only, usually requires that to be screened in some manner, but it's where it's the rear of the store.
That's an easy thing.
Yeah. There's no known historical significance or archaeological sites on this area. Floodplain management, it's not located within a floodplain. You mentioned the exterior lighting, that the canopy and site lighting will be dimmable for after-hours site lighting.
Yep.
And is not going to be pointed towards any of your abutters in a way that causes them a
We go about
disturbance.
50% light on the canopy at night, and everything does project down.
Right. Okay. The HVAC units will be roof-mounted. Applicant plans to install a fence along the boundary with Tony Sullivan, and it says here the dumpster will also be screened. So,
Yes, okay. I said, okay, whoops.
These are my draft findings.
Oh, I'm sorry, okay. I get it, that's a condition. I get
so
it.
any outside sales would be limited to the storefront sidewalk? Are you talking about off of the public sidewalk?
No, right in the front of the building.
Just in front of the building, right?
Right, we don't do, other than an ice machine, we don't do any merchandising
Yeah,
outside of
I-
our store anyway.
Yeah, I don't
I
remember
definitely
seeing
wouldn't want
any.
anybody parking in the front lot.
And you're not, I mean,
So,
the way that's,
or whatever.
the way that's written, you could possibly say, well, is that, you're gonna set up stuff to sell on the public sidewalk and you're not gonna do that?
No, we're not.
Okay,
Definitely not.
so,
Not gonna have a
No,
yard
but
sale.
it
or
No,
anything.
that-
definitely
yard
says
sale.
storefront
Oh, don't
sidewalk.
stay in.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, none of that.
okay, well, that is a reading of the findings of fact. Any questions or
Just
concerns?
one, Randy, that pipe, the storm drain that you run across the entrance to the
Yep.
basin, pretty darn shallow, less than 1.5 feet of cover.
Yeah, it's pretty shallow,
It's gonna hump, no matter how much insulation you put.
yeah. We'll have to repair it if that's the case, but
They won't let you tie it into the storm drain DOT through the,
it's only 6 inch there, so it actually goes the other direction, I believe. unfortunately.
Do you need that catch basin? Have you run the water to the other one?
We don't, but the result will be the water will run right down into the street. And then it's almost the top of the road there, so it's going to streets in our opinion.
We'd certainly like to avoid that. That's a great idea.
I mean, we do know it's very shallow there.
All the way through there, it's shallow, all down Stillwater.
So that may be something that you'll have to maintain over time.
Yeah, we've agreed to do that, right?
Yeah.
Because we have our own pit sucker for the car washes and all that, so there's no problem coming and cleaning that out, and we will monitor it.
Yeah.
I think the concern more is if this freezes and heaves.
The pavement's gonna heave.
You
You're
know
gonna
that-
end up with a bump
It's
in
that
the
speed
pavement.
bump we talked about, slowing people down.
Yeah.
Make them
You're gonna have one.
Right.
Probably will end up when it's not so much of a concern.
I think you can look
Here.
at my brewer site, even though it's in the DOT right away, the broken pavement, I paid to have it overlaid again, dug up and overlaid, because again, it's all about presentation for me and safety, and, you know, I don't want somebody busting a tire and.
Right.
And,
So that may be something that
Yep,
that
we'll
will
have
be
to
a bit of
monitor
a
that.
headache for you, but
Yep.
you're aware of that.
Yep.
So, okay. Well, having gone through, all of the findings of fact and discussed it, some things a couple of times, if there's no further discussion or any other questions, would entertain a motion to accept the findings of fact.
I just have a question.
Okay?
The separation between Gary and the store looks like it's wide open. So are you all right with traffic traveling
We're
through
gonna have a
your?
fence down the edge anyway.
So it's gonna be fenced?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
I didn't want that to become a problem.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
Okay. Well, very good. So, I think to be proper, we need to accept the findings of fact with a separate motion, and then, talk about site plan as suggested in the agenda.
I make a motion, we accept the findings of fact as given.
We have a second?
Second.
Motion and second. Any further discussion? All in favor? And then invite a motion to approve the site plan as presented with these,
I make a motion that we approve the site plan as presented with the findings of fact as incorporated.
and the additional considerations that we've talked
Yep.
about.
Just
Okay.
one question following up on Ross. Who's responsible for that fence?
I have no problem covering the fence. If I'm doing it on Tony's side, I can do it on Gary's side. No
Okay.
problem, maybe we can talk about it.
Yeah, we'll talk about
I'd
that.
like to see some large boulders, which we can bring in, which creates that same barrier.
Yeah, that's fine too.
So, yeah.
That's what we have proposed on the plan for
Right.
now. Is,
Okay?
I think 12 boulders spaced about 15 feet apart.
I got all kinds up to my lawn.
Yeah, aesthetically, it does look good, especially we put rock on the front of our building too. About 3 feet up, we go with veneer stone all the way around, and the rock as a barrier would really look nice. We can build some flowers
I
around,
can
whatever. you know.
donate some rocks for it too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Seems to be a lot of them.
I can help you with that too. I'm building a road with plenty of them, so. All right, well then we have a motion. Do we have a second? Do we have a second? The site plan as discussed and with the findings of fact, all in favor? And none opposed. So, Gary, good luck with you. We're anxious to see your project succeed out there.
Could I have just a couple more minutes?
I guess so.
Um,
Is this a different?
No,
item?
it's on the sign ordinance of 30 square feet. Is there a way for me to come back and present something for a variance?
They're pretty
What,
much
30
in the
feet tough?
C3 zone. That's what it is.
Boy, 30 feet's tough.
We'd have to get the
I'm
city
not gonna
council.
battle with Carol Epstein because I let you have a bigger sign.
It's tough for me to get, I like to do two prices, one being the cash price, and one being the credit price. Even though those are small idents, to be able to have my store sign on there. I know Hamden, they allowed a 10% variance. They had a 36 square feet, they allowed a 10% variance. And then I could go to the planning board and I presented what was 45, I believe.
Right.
Which still is controlling because I have other offerings in my store I'd like to have on that. But if I could have my two prices, my Sitco logo, my two prices, and a small ident for my store name, I don't know how I could present gas price and have my store sign even on 30 feet.
Do anything on the island that would be visible from the road, or, you know, the gas island,
Right.
the pumps? So, in any event, I mean, I think our ordinance is pretty strict on that. We don't have any opportunity.
This board can't grant variance.
No, we can't. We can't. The city
You'd have to go
council
to
would
the
have
Board of
to.
Appeals, and then
I'll give up my TIF.
That's above my pay grade, I'm afraid.
Right.
And I'm getting paid a lot. They doubled tonight, but, I'm sorry, the planning board can't. That would have to be a city council.
So anything that exists now is grandfathered?
correct.
Yeah. So that's the ordinance that we have right now. I mean, you can petition to change it, but it would have to go through the
And
city
I'd-
council.
Well, and then that would be a petition that would come to this board, and then I would then take their recommendation to council.
Yeah.
That's not out of the realm of possibilities.
Yeah, it's possible.
When I
What
first
about,
came
what
here, I
is the
thought that
ordinance,
was-
is there an opportunity for a second sign? One on
I-
each side of the property? No.
One freestanding, and then you get 1 square foot of signage for every running foot of building frontage.
So that means the building sign, you mean? Right, okay, now I'll just work with you on
So you get
that.
76 square feet there.
Okay.
So, yeah, so I mean, it's certainly possible to change it, but it is it would have to start at
Right.
the council and then
And
come
if
to
you think
us.
that's something you need, let me know. We'll start it sooner than later.
Well,
Yeah.
I think the reason, well, one of another town had a similar restriction, and although it has a higher speed limit, a lot of people that went by complained they couldn't read it. because it was so
What do you,
small
what do
by
you,
the time
what do
they
you,
would
what do you
pass
do
it.
if you have three businesses in one building, say?
Look at
30
look
feet
at the
per-
ones near you at Hannah, at the,
Sundance City,
Yeah, their signs are all on the building.
Right, okay.
at the Old Town Shopping Plaza, Tom Ellis's, they're all 30. And again, when I came here, I thought that was pretty restrictive, but you're the first that's asked. But as I say, if you want to do something, we can.
Yeah, it's not like it's sacred. I mean,
Right.
Because
but
obviously
there is
there's
a
common sense
process.
here, and I've got common sense counsel, so.
Right, okay. Well, good enough. At
I mean,
least I know
I
the
mean-
process anyway. and
Yeah, no, we certainly would entertain
We'll
it.
open
I
with
don't-
30, and then if I feel
But
I
quite
don't have the
frankly,
visibility
I'm
needed,
not
then
sure I
I'll-
understand why it's that restrictive.
My predecessor.
Yeah, so we.
It just seems like every town I
At
go,
least
it's
if you apply
worse.
with
I
32.
started it was like 40 and Orland, that was tough. And then it was 36 in Hamden, and Randy says, "Boy, you wait till you get to Old Town."
Well, wait, we're not that bad.
But we do feel welcome. I understand you have your, your.
Well, it's not that it can't be changed, and we have made other adjustments to zoning for resource protection zones. We've done it for a number of other things and gone through the council. So it's by no means prejudicial that you want to change it.
Big balloon flying off the top of the store, that's okay.
Okay with me. Dave might have a problem with it, but
Kidding, so I'll keep the TIF and we'll move on.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
yeah, thank you very much for coming.
Have a good night.
Yeah, well, we're looking forward to, so when is it gonna start?
Tomorrow.
Oh, there are, all right,
Yeah.
awesome.
Next couple of days, we're gonna demo the building and get started. And the goal would be to open before Christmas.
Great. Good. I'm looking forward to it.
All right, well, thank you very
I'll
much.
be one
Thank
of your
you.
first customers.
Thanks again, I appreciate it.
Thanks, Randy.
No problem.
Thanks for coming.
Hey, no problem. You guys have a good night.
And you too, thank you.
Talk to you tomorrow.
All right, take care.
Where am I? Okay. All right, so item 4 is the subdivision site plan application for Habitat for Humanity of Greater Bangor for a 3-unit condominium located at 159 Perkins Avenue, tax map 21, lot 174, case number 1533. Would you like to tell us what you're up to?
He would.
I'm sure he would.
I'm Lynn Lufkin, on the board of Habitat for Humanity, Greater Bangor, and the construction end of activities. And couple items kind of preliminarily. One, we appreciate the offer of the land and the approval of the land for building of this 3-unit condominium. The plans that we've got, and Dave's got a complete set, were developed by Peter DeMont from Blue Hill. He's used to be part of another firm down there, Bob Knight, that most of us that in the construction industry are familiar with. He's done a good job with these plans, and what we're looking for, what we've done is surveyed the lot. Pliskin Day has surveyed the lot completely, staked it. They've also staked the corners of the building that we're proposing. It's a beautiful site, but we're going to use it all the way it's laid out. It could have been 2-story units, but we elected to have the center unit as a 2-story unit and the 2 side units as single-story units. We're pretty pleased with the way it's going to look from the street. And just a quick orientation on how this would work in our mind. This would be a 3-unit condominium. Each of the habitat partners would own their unit, and then the condominium association would handle all the exterior. And of course, those 3 habitat owners would be basically the board of directors for the condominium. And I think we furnished you a copy of the
condominium agreement?
The condominium agreement, which, is pretty comprehensive. It's marked draft because there's some editorial stuff in it, but we think that'll work. We've looked at 4 or 5 different agreements because this is our first time out in this affiliate. This agreement basically came from Portland, and they've got a number of condominiums down there, some of them up to 8 units. But I'm kind of new at the condominium game, so we studied it pretty hard. And we had 26 applications for these apartments, and we broke that down to about 12 that were qualified, and now they're standing in line to go here. So there's some real need, as far as I can see, for decent housing here in Old Town. Of course, you folks have been wonderful to work with as far as trying to upgrade, and I think we've been cooperative in working with you, and of course Dave has been very helpful, and Tim and his crew has been very helpful to us too. But anyway, I'm basically here just to answer questions that you might have. We can get into details if you wish. City Council went over it pretty carefully, what are you doing here and why, and before they agreed to let us build the buildings. So we're ready to go to work if everything makes sense to you guys.
Well, that's what we're here to go over. And I looked through the condominium agreement. Did you look at this? I think this is only the second one that we've had. We had one on Center Street, Katsiafikas's place there, the condominiums there. On Center Street.
Stillwater? Yeah.
Stillwater, but yeah.
Yeah.
So-
And I wasn't here when that took place.
Yeah.
so.
No,
I apologize, my hearing isn't that good, so I'll have to
Oh, no problem.
really stretch.
So the, did you look at that condominium agreement?
No.
No, these are all ones from Portland. The one that you
That's the
modeled
third
us on.
agreement we've looked at, and we think that one's good.
Okay.
We
Now, is
saw-
this based on a Habitat condominium agreement?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, it's not sanctioned by Habitat per se. They
But it's one that
basically,
they've used.
they basically hand it to the affiliates you can do your own thing as long as everything works. But
Right.
we do a lot of cooperation. There's 7 different Habitat organizations in the state of Maine, and they work through an association of, to make sure everybody's doing as good as they can.
Well, to my knowledge, this is the second condominium agreement that we've had since I've been on the planning board, which has been a little while. So I know when Mr. Katsiafikis put his condominium agreement forward, we took a lot of time studying it and went over it detail by detail. Did any of you had a chance to look at that? Do you have any concerns? I mean, they all kind of look the same. Basically, the tenants own
The footprint.
they own the footprint and the sheetrock, but once you get to the studs, they don't own that. That's the condominium agreement. It covers that, plus the outside and the grounds around
That's right.
the units. So they will have to sign this condominium agreement
They're a
before
part
they
of it. As a
become.
matter of fact, we don't know what the number is yet, but we'll go to somebody like Hughes Associates, who manages all kinds of properties, and they'll sign an agreement or make an agreement to manage this property.
Right.
But they won't obviously manage what's inside of any particular unit. They'll manage the whole thing, and then
Right,
they'll
from-
have a fee.
From the studs on out.
That's right. They'll have a fee for taking care of lawns, paving,
Snow removal.
roofs, snow removal, and all that sort of thing. And then these three owners will participate in that agreement and pay monthly for.
And I saw there were restrictions on what you can put in your windows, flower boxes, things like this, that very restricted.
Changing the exterior colors. and-
Right.
Right.
So-
Yeah, what it says here, they basically agree so that you don't have somebody out here with their psychedelic motorcycle painted on the side of the building.
Right.
The directors would be a party to that.
Okay. Well, I have looked through it. I didn't read every word, I'll confess that I didn't, but I did go through over most of it. It does look very familiar to the other condominium agreement
Yeah.
that we have had, that we had with Mr. Katsiafikas's project, so,
Is that the Hellas? Is that Hellas?
yes.
Hellas,
Yeah.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I know you mentioned that, but I didn't
Yeah.
look at it.
I did condominiums for Dave Giroux in Brewer, and it's almost identical.
Yeah, it
It's like ordinances, like it start to get boilerplate.
It was very familiar, because we went through that first one pretty much line by line, as I remember. And you were, okay, you remember that. So this looks very familiar to that. I haven't vetted it beyond that. It doesn't need any other kind of review besides us? Okay, it's their
Now,
agreement.
No.
We're going to have, if you folks agree to where we are now, we're going to have legal review of that at Habitat. I've spent a lot of time going over that.
Right.
See if I could live with it.
Well, okay.
And I think I could. But we'll have legal review of it, and that's why it's still marked draft.
Okay. Well, good. And again, it's your agreement, and anybody who comes in here knows what they're getting, where they get in there. It was new to us, so the first one we went through, we spent a lot of time going through it page by page. I don't think that's necessary. Everyone else okay with that? Okay. All right, well, having said that, then these units, when do you expect them to be ready for occupancy?
As soon as I can find a concrete contractor.
You're going for it.
I got
Okay.
somebody ready to sink a hole.
Okay.
And every concrete contractor between here and Rustic County is busy.
The way this is proposed, each unit the basement's totally encapsulated in concrete. So they're totally separate. From
Separate
there
unit.
up, 2-hour fire rating between them, so they're basically all individual units, they just have common walls.
They're just together, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
One question I have, the problem with condominiums is ownership turnover.
I'm sorry?
Ownership turnover, if somebody leaves, sells a unit.
They can sell it to whoever, but the board of directors, which can consist of the other two owners, will have a party to that to make sure that we're not selling to some university professor, that sort of thing.
Oh, yeah, can't have that.
What is it typically, how many people, because I did a lot of projects with Lynn over in Brewer, what is the turnover on those?
Almost non-existent.
Because of the
Because-
affordability on
well,
in their,
The
Loans.
affordability of the property, And the strenuous process we go through to make sure that this family will work, or, you know, whatever the family arrangement is. It's surprising to me how many single-parent families there are out there that need housing and can afford it and working on it. I'm just amazed how difficult it is to get adequate housing here in the greater Bangor area, including Old Town.
No, I hear you. Okay.
For
well,
me, it's always, because I've probably done 6 or 8 now with the 2 we did here. 6 or 8 projects between Brewer and the 2 we did here. And to see the people and the pride and ownership that they get way before there's any drywall on the walls and,
It's a significant personal commitment.
oh, it is.
Exactly right. You're exactly right. They're right up against it financially.
Right.
But I'll tell you that it's attractive here. The Old Town School Department is attractive, and the fact that, you know, the city is well managed from the point of view of traffic and all the other things. It's an attractive community. When you hear about Old Town, you hear about the Old Town. Well, it's not here now.
No, it's changed. There's no doubt about that. When I was a little fella, I mean, it was nothing to see 100 people on the streets out here, you know, because it was that busy.
Yeah.
But it's not that way now. It's changed.
The picture of the old hotel that was in the paper, in the Times the other day, that's,
Yeah.
Franza?
Okay, so I mean, we've do you have any concerns with the site plan, or did we?
Small site, but we can get it all in.
Yep.
Is there adequate drainage for the foundations? Or is
It's,
there gonna have to be some
the
pumps?
foundations, well, all the drainage is going to the back of the lot, including the sewers. I think, I don't know what you've got in front of you there, but basically the sewer goes back to the back corner. Uh,
sewer's gonna tie into the line in the back. But as that lot slopes down, there's a swale down there that goes underneath the paved driveway that you see over here. To the right, that's now formerly Bossy's. It goes out to Lincoln? Is that Lincoln Street that wraps around by the park?
Yes, yep.
So but my question is the foundation,
They should be able to daylight out there.
It's close, I'll tell you that. We've surveyed it. That's one of the reasons why Pliskin Day spent quite a lot of time out there for us. It's going to be tight.
okay, but you feel as
The
though
elevation's at 130 back there.
yeah, it's tight. There's not a lot of drainage on this site that I can
But I think
see.
it'll work from the point of view that the culvert seems to be running smooth. And
Okay.
I've seen it now all
But
through.
there won't be any sump pumps or anything like that in these?
We're not planning on it, yeah.
That'll come right out, yeah, to natural drain. All right.
Because it is gonna be fairly flat, because you're at 139 or 140 up here. An 8-foot foundation. Down to 130. It's gonna be, it'll be close. They may have to keep the foundation up a
Right,
foot.
right.
But I think we're all right. And we watched it pretty close on planning it out. That's why it's surveyed that way.
Okay.
We don't have building sections, so it's a daylight basement and back? Or is
Yeah,
it-
it's not a daylight basement. I do have sections if you want to take a quick look at them. The best way to do that, lay it on this table.
Yep, you can lay right on there.
This is Perkins Street. Each one of the units is set so that down into the basement by coming in the back, just like so.
Footing drains all run into this corner.
That's correct. There's the basement, so those units come right down in. What we tried to do is avoid the Bilko issue if we could, because you know how difficult they are. But they come in, go right down ground cellar. This is a split stairway. This is the two-unit, two-story, I mean. There's what the building looks like from the front, from Perkins Avenue. Basically a two-story. This is 3 bedrooms. This is 2 bedrooms. This one's handicap accessible. And those are the end views. That's how the section will work. This is the primary section of Unit 1, which is on the left. This is the full concrete up to the first floor for firewall protection. And then this firewall is a pretty elaborate construction. I'm sure some of you are probably familiar, but this is a 2-hour wall.
Yeah.
And this unit will be on this side, this unit will be on this side. So if there's a fire or one, it can't get through that unit.
This is a truly engineered firewall as
Yeah,
opposed to.
this is Certainteed's approach to it, and Peter used that as his guide as to how that will actually be built. That is how it will actually be built between the 2 units.
It goes right up to the ridge.
And this, yeah, that's correct, all the way up.
That's not bad anyway.
So this is looking from the north side. This is from the back side. Yeah. Yeah, that's from the north, that's the north view.
So this unit actually steps down over the other two.
That's correct, because the land dropped somewhat. And that's part of the challenge on slope that he pointed out. It's really, really low.
Yeah, that corner.
And what we didn't want to do was on the build up around Perkins Avenue. That avenue works pretty good there.
Okay. Thank you for explaining that to us.
So do you want us to do the findings of fact and
Well-
approve that, or how do you wanna?
The reason I put those in my memo, our subdivision ordinance really, and I still have a problem with the state making this go to subdivision. It really doesn't address anything like they're doing, because it's based on lots and hydrological studies and septics and wells and all that. So I kind of made it a hybrid, use those findings of fact to just show that this site can be. The only thing that makes this a subdivision is it's 3 units.
Right, so we're basically doing a site plan, but we're following
But
that.
it has to be treated.
Now, you know, in the past, it seems like every time I want to do it one way, everybody hollers at me and says, no, we got to do it the other, where we approve the findings of fact and then we approve.
Approve the
plan.
site plan, including the findings of
But
fact.
in this case, I mean, we can go ahead and combine the two, I think. Or am I going to get hollered at again?
I don't think you've ever got a hold of that.
Well, you've hollered at me several times.
I would just go down through the findings of fact,
Okay.
vote on those like
All
we
right.
did the last project, and
All right, so we'll do that. So, number one is utilization of the site. The site has been utilized as a residential home site for many years. We're aware of that. We're gonna be repeating some things here, but we have to go through this.
I sat on the Blue Earth Planning Board for 15 years, so
So
I
you're
know,
familiar with
I
all
know
this,
what
right,
you're
yeah.
having to do.
You probably got hollered at a lot too, so there you go. The proposed development has adequate parking and maneuvering on-site for the use, and the proposed parking consists of 16 spaces, which meets our parking requirements. Way over
beyond.
that. What is it, just 3 per unit?
2 per unit.
2 per unit, okay. This is in R2 or R1?
Well, they're all the same for parking.
Yeah, okay. The site plan provides for a system of pedestrian ways within the site, and the access from the parking will be via the walkway, so that's all taken care of. It is designed so that post-development stormwater runoff does not exceed standards, and it will sheet flow across the grass lawn area.
So that swale in the back.
The erosion control, you will obviously use any, follow all BMPs, best management practices, to control any erosion. I'm assuming you're gonna use silt fence.
Silt fencing.
Yeah, okay. There's an adequate water supply, city water, city sewer, adequate capacity for sewage disposal. Utilities are, the proposed project will come from overhead lines on Perkins Avenue, and they will transition to underground utilities. So everything, there's no wires going from the poles.
Basically, we'll set a pole right out on Perkins Avenue and go under the parking lot to the building.
Got it. No changes are proposed to the natural features and landscaping. There will be landscaping, obviously, in grassed-in areas that are not paved as
That's
part of
right.
that driveway. There's no proposed uses on the site that will adversely impact groundwater. You're gonna stay away from radioactive stuff. There's no shoreland zone located within this site. And Habitat for Humanity has a proven track record, not only in Old Town, but throughout the greater Bangor area. We certainly accept that.
I missed what that said.
That was for financial
That
capacity.
was for financial capacity.
I just put in that
I'm
you had a
kinda
good track
I'm going
record.
through this pretty quickly, but basically that does address capacity of the
Yeah.
applicant.
I'm not worried about them.
Number 15 is solid waste management. It'll be collected curbside as it always has been for that site. There's no known historical or archaeological sites or significance to this site because it's been developed for many years, so we're okay there. This site is not located within a floodplain. And all lighting will be of a residential character and will not impact their neighbors excessively. All mechanical equipment, what are you talking about? It says that all mechanical equipment is located in the basement.
Well, they're gonna do furnaces and all that.
Okay.
Each unit will have their own heating plant, and anything like that will be in their own basements, so not
And
outside.
there are no outside sales planned other than, I mean, they could have a yard sale, couldn't they?
Yep.
Out front, is that permitted under the condominium agreement?
I don't know.
Maybe not, maybe not, but that's fine. We recognize that there will be no outside sales planned as a part of this development. And as is necessary under ordinance, the planning board has to go down through these findings of fact. And having said that, I'd entertain a motion to accept them as we've discussed them, both here and earlier.
Can I ask one question on the solid waste one?
Certainly can, sir.
It's just,
Just don't holler.
I'm not. And it's just a informational question for me. In the course of congregate housing like this, is it a requirement to have a dumpster, or is it all right to do it as individual?
Over 4 units.
Over 4, okay. I just wanted to clarify so nobody questioned us.
Yeah, no, over 4.
All right, all right. I will make a motion that we accept the findings of fact as presented.
I'll make a second.
We have motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor? And then, just to make sure we don't get hollered at, we will go to the next motion, which is to approve the site plan and subdivision plan hybrid as presented.
Is this gonna be recorded at the registry?
I don't know if it needs to be or not.
I think we'll probably register this once you.
The signed copies,
Once you've
okay.
signed a copy, I think we'll
Okay.
register.
You will put it in the registry of deeds. Okay.
So when someone buys into this
Subdivision.
subdivision, do they get a description of what they own that is recorded at the registry?
The square footage of their,
They'll get this plot plan, and they'll get the description of it. I don't know what the lawyers will require us to do, but we will have a deed transfer that will tie in that condominium agreement and the property. And the condominium agreement is pretty specific as to what they're buying. When you buy Unit 1, you're buying all the way out to the vinyl.
Right.
and X amount of square foot of the unit, and
Yeah.
Right.
So I'm not sure exactly how that's going to be worded, but I got enough lawyers around, so it'll be it'll be taken care of.
I'm just, my concern here is registry, is this all gonna be legal as far as a legal parcel to be sold if we don't have a subdivision map that's recorded? I mean,
See,
we're gonna
this-
record a site plan, but there's no way to refer to this site plan and determine what is being conveyed, without a lot of paperwork, so I'm a
Well,
little confused on
Isn't,
that.
isn't the condominium agreement going to cover that?
No, no.
See, it doesn't, the condominium agreement doesn't hit the specifics he's talking about. I think our agreement,
So the deed will
our
have
deed
to
will say Unit 1,
cover that.
Unit 1 specifically tied with that condominium agreement.
Okay, so do we need an official subdivision plan? Where that-
What is it gonna look like?
I don't know, but my question is that something that we would need?
Well, I don't remember us having that for the one, for Mr. Katsiafikis up there. Was that, no, what was it? No, it wasn't.
Not his name.
It wasn't him. Why am I saying that?
That's Jim Cassiafikis, the landfill.
That's right, no, it was a name just like that,
Yeah,
hard to pronounce.
Tony the.
Andy the Taylor.
Andy the Taylor.
Yeah, whatever. Okay, no, I'm sorry, I don't mean to,
No,
okay.
Now we're
I'm
yelling
gonna-
at
we
you.
knew who you meant.
But we didn't have a subdivision plan for that.
I don't know, I wasn't.
remember. We
That
had a-
was just because he came back twice and.
Right, and asked for
Extended it.
extensions.
Yeah,
I remember that. I don't remember.
I mean, there was certainly a site
Plan.
plan, I remember that, but because they had to tear down old buildings.
Worst
and-
case scenario, well, again, I don't know what they'd even look for other than what we got here, unless they put square footage on each.
Right.
And I think
Footprint.
I think we're gonna, one thing that I told Peter was I think we ought to call that Unit 1, Unit 2, Unit 3. He didn't write them on here.
And
But I
you could
think-
put,
And I think we
square
could say
footages on
Unit 1,
there.
so many square feet, Unit
Well,
2.
it's also missing a bunch of information as far as, it would require the title, what's the name of this thing, where is it, what street, who the owner is, and all of that information.
but you,
My concern is we're gonna go through this motion, we're gonna have to go through it again in a month, which I don't have a problem with, but,
They wanna get the work going.
right.
Yeah.
well, we already agreed that they could start the foundation.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with them starting this while we work.
I would-
through the
I
details
would-
of it.
If we can, sign it off what we do tonight, let them run it by their legal, and if they recommend anything different, then we'll bring it back and amend what we did tonight.
Okay, and can we petition our legal to make sure that the city is
That would be
covered?
Mr. Katsiafikis.
I thought you did, Dave.
We're
We,
not
we
getting in
sent this
trouble
up
here as a
earlier.
planning
Did
board.
they look at
Well,
it?
I talked to Ed Bearer about this, not the subdivision aspect of it. Yeah, I can do that.
I just think we ought to really look at this closely because I don't know, I don't understand it, because I don't understand it, I think we maybe should understand.
Well,
it.
and again, I don't understand why this requires subdivision approval,
Well, the other
other than
condominium
it's
project.
three,
You're selling 3 proproperties, so it
it
falls
fits the
under that
definition.
preview or whatever you call
I
it.
think.
But up until a
ownership
few years
of the
ago,
property, not
as long as your site plan review was as stringent as your subdivision, you'd have to review it
Well,
under
check and
subdivision.
see what we did with the other one.
You're selling it
But
for
you can't go by that, because that was 15 years ago or whatever.
Was it that long ago?
It was a long time ago.
even though they will own
Okay.
out to the vinyl, it's.
Well, if you check with legal and just make
Yep.
sure I mean, that's a very valid point.
Oh, absolutely.
And we just want to make sure that
Okay.
Oh, yeah?
you're protected and the tenants.
Right, so we did that.
I don't want to sell a pig in the poke.
So with condos or, other properties that had different buildings on it, they're buying a share in the property, but they're not buying the property per se, because they're distinct dwellings. And I don't know if that helps you.
No, that's, yeah,
But-
I understand that. Is that how this is?
But we're
set
all
up?
unclear, so let's,
Is that how this is?
Well, that's a
set
good
up? Are
point.
They're buying into a membership, more or less.
They are.
of This
They-
community, but
right.
they're not buying the property itself.
That's right.
Does that sound correct to you? Because from the agreement, it looked like they were buying everything out to the vinyl,
Yes.
which is different. So they're buying property. But if that's really not the case, and they're buying into.
Well, see,
They're buying a footprint and a dwelling.
when they buy Unit 1, they're also buying into the condominium agreement, which lays out, their responsibility with that condominium.
Right, so they're buying a portion.
But for that argument to fall true, they're buying into the agreement, period.
Yeah.
They can't buy property and into the agreement. That's two separate things. That would require a subdivision. But if they're buying into just, we are agreeing to this and we're getting this out.
We're getting this
More of
from-
a rent than it is an ownership.
Even though it's ownership.
Right. I think that's gonna be the distinction between.
But this is an ownership, it's not a rental. The fellow that buys Unit 1 owns a building, and he owns a third of the condominium agreement.
Right, so kind of like a duplex, right?
Right.
So it's on an individual property, so they own half of.
No, I
right?
understand what you're saying.
Okay.
Then, of course, the 3 units is what kicks it into
If it was a
the
duplex, we wouldn't be having this
subdivision.
discussion.
Right, right.
I don't mean to be difficult here.
No, I think it's all good
I
because
think
we
it's
want
a
to
good, clean
protect
question.
what
you
we're
know.
doing.
If we can,
Right.
if we can clarify it, now's the time.
So
Yeah.
again, I
That's
think
our
if we
job,
sign
right,
it
to ask
tonight
questions.
and let him take it to legal, I'll get with Ed.
Okay, as long as there's an
And then if we have to
understanding that
change
we're signing
something-
it, it's okay, but we're having this discussion and then.
Do you want to make the motion contingent upon legal acceptance of this agreement? Do you want to word it that way so that it covers that possibility? I mean, everybody's agreed here that we're going to do that.
Contingent upon,
Approval by council or legal review,
legal review.
I think that would be fair.
and that way we're sure that
Now,
everybody.
that's your legal review, because
That's right.
My legal review is volunteer, he's not getting paid.
Right.
So, I'm not sure.
No, I can get with Ed tomorrow or Thursday.
And you understand that the reason it's.
Yep, I
Because
do.
it's 3
I
units,
understand what you're saying.
which kicks it into the subdivision. This is
And again-
definitely a hybrid, it's not a,
No, it is,
Straightforward.
and that's, okay.
okay.
So you want to make a motion contingent upon that?
Would you make that motion, what you just said?
I don't remember what it is.
Make a motion to approve the plan as presented with the 20 findings of facts contingent upon legal review by the city.
What he said,
What he said, I second it.
okay. Well, you can't
We'll
second.
first it, I'll second that.
There we go, we got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? All right, we're good. We
Appreciate it, folks.
We're just trying to do our
No,
due
yeah, we want it
diligence
right when
here.
it's done.
And we thank you for coming in and explaining this to us. We wish you all the best of luck.
Well,
We're
thank
glad
you.
you're here.
Now, if you've got a concrete contractor under your pocket, and Tim and I would be glad to work with him.
Well,
We're too old to lug panels, so.
What's that?
Yeah,
We're
that's
too
true.
old to lug panels, so you need to find somebody.
yeah.
Now, what am I gonna get? Am I gonna get a signed copy of this?
I'll get it to you tomorrow.
Okay. Sounds good. Well, thank you for your patience, folks.
Thank
Well,
you,
thank you for
sir.
coming in. Good luck. Okay. Do we have any
I do.
new business?
You've got a little survey right there that I need y'all to fill out. Doesn't have to be tonight. It's to test your stormwater knowledge.
So this is
Got to
a
have
quiz.
Phil come in and
We're getting
talk
great.
to us ad nauseum. Thank you, sir.
So what happens if we ace it?
What they're just looking at is to see where our base is for knowledge. Then the second paper you have there, that is the lot I questioned you guys about putting an 80 by 80 combination storage facility, and I think he's looking more at like boats and that type of thing. and a portion of that being an indoor archery range.
Right, you mentioned that, yeah.
And, because he's looking to purchase his property. I told him, however you look at it, it would still have to come back for site plan. But, again, it's in the R3, which has the most uses that we have, but it doesn't say indoor archery range. Talks about professional offices, commercial greenhouses, sawmills, public facilities and grounds.
This is a public facility, right?
Well, I never know what public facility, is that municipal facility or a public facility, yeah, so. But, I mean, it has so many different uses you can use, general stores, multifamily dwellings, business offices, maintenance shops. Is this something that's out of the realm of?
Either, I mean, it's a business, he's gonna be renting space for archers and storing things, right?
Yep.
I think it's a permitted use.
I do know that the property has been perked in the past for septic, so that shouldn't be a problem. But he's gonna have to bring all that in anyway, but for a site plan, but.
Where is this on? Where's this on the
Poplar
road?
Street.
Well, I see Poplar Street.
Right?
In relation to what's there.
Was it closer to the Kirkland Road?
No, it's beyond Wicket subdivision.
Okay, so it's further out.
Yeah.
Okay. Is it beyond Mud
Yeah, I know
Pond,
where
or
it is.
No.
No.
it's before you get to Mud Pond?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, as you go around that corner, the next one you go around, I believe to the right is what lands you on the causeway.
Right.
Oh, okay, yeah. Not
It's
much
26
there, yeah.
acres.
Well, it was back in the 90s. Out on Route
Like the
43,
Target
there was an
or
archery
something,
shop.
right?
Yes,
Now
that's
it's
right,
a
just beyond my
house.
house, yeah.
It's crazy.
Okay.
It was R3 back then, and I don't see where.
Well,
this
it
would
was
be.
more of like a sporting goods store, but they made archery components. They made arrows, and they, oh, you worked there, okay, oh, I'm sorry, you knew that.
That's how I remember it.
Because I frequented the place, I used to go in there, so.
So, based on that, and that wasn't a big bother as far as I could.
No, this isn't, and he's gonna have ample parking, you know, I don't know how many archers can
Yeah,
No, it's not.
do the thing at the same time.
okay, so he'll come in for site plan.
We'll do
review.
site plan. He just wants to jump on the property because the price is right, I guess, and.
I can't imagine why that would, it's an R3, right, so,
Yep. Okay.
all right.
So
That
when
is
are we
all I
supposed to
have.
fill this out?
Yeah, and you don't have to do it tonight. You can do it and then just bring it at the next meeting. Well, except for you, you gotta get it to me.
I'll mail it to you.
Okay.
We have to be very careful about which order we
Please.
sign those. So pick a
Yes, we
number.
do, don't we?
I
Pick
had
a
no
number of
idea.
people.
Yeah, boy, talk about some nitpicky folks.
That's okay, we can do it.
Well, when he went, when the surveyor went down, because he surveys, he presents a lot of plans, she was training people, and he thinks that's the only reason she wouldn't let him get by with it.
Normally they.
Yeah.
I must have missed this. What happened?
The subdivision,
Two people signed in a different order on the plan. Everybody signed it, but it
Probably
was.
me.
Me, I was one of them.
No, it was Ted and Glenna.
you're
Well, they
at,
have to be in the same, they have to be duplicates.
Yeah.
And
I
it was
know,
out of order.
I had no idea.
So we can do
Exact
that.
same, exact
learn
same
every day.
signatures, but yeah, okay.
Yep.
So that's it for tonight.
Well, you will supervise us signing this, make sure
Yeah.
we do it right, okay?
Motion to adjourn?
Yeah, that sounds
Hey,
good.
where are we on the,
I'll second the motion.
40 acre?
yes.
I will have that at the next meeting.
I know you've been really busy.
It's just
so-
crazy.
She's probably ready to go.
Yeah, she is, sorry.
And I'm going on vacation again, and I'll be off the grid.